Hello, everyone, and welcome into your twin flame reading for Monday, March 11th. And as a reminder, today we do have Venus entering Pisces. So that's about kind of craving more of that spiritual connection with those you love, including your twins. So today you're definitely going to be having that feeling of really craving more, maybe 5D connection with your twin, maybe that deeper, even if it's in the 3D, like deeper discussions, deeper feelings of connectedness. There's also going to be more of an emphasis on love and compassion and understanding and kind of that gentle type of energy as well. So with that overall energy, let's go ahead and jump into today's reading and see what all messages are coming through for the Twin Flame Collective for today. And we'll start with one of these crystal cards, see if there's any recommendations on what you should use when you're meditating. All right, we have Halo Gold, Dead Sea Salt, Platinum, and Iron. So this is about enthusiasm, spontaneity, and protection. So that is your crystal card to work with over the next week. I'll set this up there so we may refer back to it. So I'll go through, we'll read from the perspective of the Divine Feminine, Divine Masculine, and then the collective, and then we'll pull some oracle cards as well. So also, you'll notice in the description box below, there is the link. I have recently launched a Twin Flame support, like Twin Flame Journey support website. So there's some resources on there if you wanted. There's some different meditations that you can purchase. There's some journaling templates. If you're in a crisis point and you need a lot of hands-on help, there's that service available as well. And this really, it sparked from, it's probably a year or so ago, where I felt like I was looking for resources, like for when you're really in a dark night of the soul space and needing some really hands-on help. So that is available to you if that's something that's of interest. All right, let's jump in then on the Divine Feminine and see what all messages come through. So push from the universe right now is Strength in reverse. How you're showing up in the 3D is Five of Swords in reverse. How you're showing up in the soul space is the Tower. Your challenge is Nine of Pentacles. Advice from Spirit is Knight of Pentacles. And then likely outcome is the Sun. All right, so let's take a look. I know sometimes when you see the Tower, it's that kind of gasp of, oh no, not that coming. But let's go ahead and move through this reading and see what all is coming through for Divine Feminine. So currently the push from the universe, so what you're feeling right now coming in energetically from the universe is there's this sense of, like, I guess, weakness and vulnerability and just a lack of courage. So I would say it comes across more so that it's just kind of this sense of, like, weakness and vulnerability, like you've been trying for so long and you've been on the journey for long enough that you just kind of feel almost like this sense of jaded. And can I keep plugging forward on this? Is it getting to a point where it's ridiculous? Like, how much longer are we going to loop? So, like, that's the sort of energetic feeling that's coming through for the Divine Feminine Collective right now. Just kind of a universal almost sense of, like, ugh, really? I just want somebody to hold me and tell me it's going to be okay. How you're showing up in the 3D right now, with the Five of Swords in reverse energy, is there's a little bit of this, like, sense of resolution and compromise. Like, okay, fine. So it's not what I thought it was going to be, but can we make it something that's, that's working for both of us? But in the soul space, there's this Tower. And so it almost comes across, with the Five of Swords in reverse, because this is about, like, reconciliation and resolution and compromise. And so it's like, that's how you're showing up, because you do feel this energy of being like vulnerable and weak and you want some sort of support, but it's almost like, because usually the 5D, like what's happening in the soul space, will then push forward into the 3D. And so it's almost like in the soul space, you're having a tower moment of, okay, what you thought was going to happen is not actually how things are going to play out. So that image is starting to crumble. And, you know, I'm picking it up both ways. So this is probably that it affects some feminines one way and some the other, but almost like the tower is coming because you keep compromising of, oh, well, if it's not going to be like this, well, then maybe it'll be like this. Well, if it's, oh, so you're saying you don't want this, so then I'll adjust myself and make myself mold into what you want, as if you're having this conversation with your masculine, and that's what causes the tower. Like, okay, stop compromising, stop making yourself small, stop changing your ideas to accommodate. Like if you're being overly accommodating, that's going to cause the tower, or it could be that the tower is causing you just to re-examine what it is that you think this dynamic is about. So either way, there's some different realizations that are coming in, some aha moments. So that's something that's happening in the soul space. It could also be that because that's happening in the soul space, then you're, I'll call it proactively or enthusiastically looking for compromise. Like, hey, I realize that this is not, that I'm not thinking about this the right way, so let's compromise. But and you'll know which one feels like it's the right interpretation for you. Whether it's that you need to stop compromising and stop changing everything about yourself and about your beliefs in order to fit with the masculine, with the scenario, or whether it's that you have had this like epiphany because you're having this tower and then you're realizing, oh, okay, well, maybe I don't need to think about it in this way or that way. All right, in the challenge space, we have the 9 of Pentacles. So the challenge for you is that sense of independence and self-reliance. So it's very much that for this read, this is for divine feminines who are still very much attached to the idea or belief that they need to physically have their masculine by their side in order to be happy. Because the challenge here is, how do you have that independence and feel the rewards of being independent and kind of self-reliant, like you don't need somebody else to complete you. So that's your challenge. And advice from Spirit, we have our Knight of Pentacles. So the advice from Spirit is be patient and, have that sense of hard work and really work towards having that balanced life, having that sense of independence, because that's part of it. Is this twin flame journey is not about how do I get lost and totally wrapped up in my relationship with my divine masculine. That's not what this journey is about. So advice from Spirit then is to keep working hard at that and really self-reflect on where is it that you are giving your power away to somebody else and saying, oh, I need this person, to do this for me. I need this person to do that for me. So it seems like one of the common things for divine feminines in terms of lessons to learn is codependency types of scenarios, like not being so needy and not being so wrapped up in the other person. And the likely outcome then is the Sun. So the likely outcome is your blessings, your rewards, all of that beautiful, happy, successful energy, that satisfaction and abundance. So if you can work more on standing in your own truth and standing in your own power, then you're going to see those blessings. So let's take a look at the bottom of the deck. The next level of energy coming in. So we have our 3 major arcana cards. So there's some big energy that's going to be coming in. So we have the Empress in reverse, the Devil in reverse, and the World in reverse. So one by one on those. With the Empress in reverse, there's some feelings of being unappreciated and unloved and like a lack of creativity, and that's causing delays and frustrations for you in terms of your life path. And when you're feeling unloved, then you feel like, okay, I'm doing something wrong, because I'm not feeling that warmth, that happiness. And then with your Devil in reverse energy, this is going to be that sense of independence and releasing the need to have that. So you're feeling unloved, and that's causing you delays, but the solution to that is stop looking outside, like stop looking to your masculine to provide you with that sense of feeling loved. This is about how do you break free from that? How do you break free from these chains that are binding you to feeling like your worthiness or your happiness is tied to the other person and whether they're providing you with the love that you need to be able to provide for yourself. So then the next level of energy after this lesson plays out is we have our Knight of Wands, we have our Page of Wands, and then we have our Four of Pentacles in reverse. So your Knight of Wands energy, that's that adventurous, fearless energy. And the Page of Wands is that happiness and excitement and optimism, because, wands are about about spirit, and you have both of those coming in. And then with the Four of Pentacles in reverse, on this one, in this deck, I read it differently than I read it in the housewife deck that I use for my dailies, because if you watch the channel regularly, you'll know that we had a spell in there where the Four of Pentacles in reverse kept coming up over and over and over again. And that was about like, stop over giving, and, stop giving to the point where you feel like you're depleting yourself. But with this one, since this is a different deck and it reads differently, this is like that chance of, with your Four of Pentacles in reverse, with this generosity and this giving. So this is going to almost be more like, the next level of energy after you learn this lesson is you're going to have that new start, that optimism, that adventurous energy, and kind of that fearless, courageous energy. He's riding off, and they're both looking in the same direction. And I think with that, then you're going to start to feel that generosity. You're going to feel that from the universe, like that you're getting some of this good energy in, and resolving some of this lesson of being so codependent. It's interesting. So that's actually going to draw you together more with your masculine as you start to break some of these ties that are keeping you in a bad place. So you'll feel more of that. You'll be on the receiving end too of some of that generous giving type of energy. So that's what is coming through for the feminine. So it's a good positive message. I know sometimes, like I said, the Tower kind of causes that, oh no, when that comes out, but that's necessary for these blessings to come in, because something has to change. Something, especially if, think about it this way, if you've been looping and looping, you can't be waiting for the other person to change, because that's part of, I'll call it, some of that laziness. And I don't mean that in a judgmental way, because when I self-reflect, I find patterns and times when I'm doing that too, where you're waiting and hoping that the other person's going to do something different. You're waiting and hoping that the universe is going to bring in some sort of a change in the dynamic. And really what it is you at the soul level are realizing you have to be the instrument of change in your life. Like waiting for the universe to do something, or waiting for your masculine to do something is sometimes just a sign of laziness. And can also be a sign of, I guess, arrogance, that you don't need to do anything about it. Somebody else is going to do something about it and take care of it for you. But once you start to work on the problem yourself and start to make improvements or changes or whatever, then you're going to be able to move into your blessings. All right, let's take a look now at Divine Masculine. So push from the universe, that is the 9 of Wands in reverse. How they're showing up in the 3D is the 6 of Pentacles. How they're showing up in the soul space is the High Priestess. Move these over because the masculine cards are bigger than the feminine cards. So there we go. And the challenge is the Queen of Wands in reverse. Advice from Spirit is Page of Pentacles, and the likely outcome is the Page of Wands. All right, so for Divine Masculine here, the push from the universe is there's like the energetic push that's coming in is there's a sense of exhaustion and kind of a stalemate or stubbornness that they're feeling like pushing down on them right now. How they're showing up in the 3D is with this like lack of charity and expecting like a tit for tat. There's an element of dishonesty with it too, but this kind of tit for tat energy of, well, you know, I'm not going to lift a finger unless I know that I'm getting something for it. So that is kind of a result of this kind of stubborn, exhausted energy of, you know what, I just don't have anything more to give. I'm not going to give of myself unless I know that something positive is going to be coming back for me, because I just don't have any energy to give. So in the soul space with the High Priestess energy, though, that is that inner wisdom, that higher consciousness and divine feminine energy. So in the soul space, they're sitting in more of that loving energy, starting to piece things together and understand what it is that needs to happen. But usually changes happen in the soul space before they happen in the 3D. So it's almost like they know kind of where they need to be going, but they just don't have the energy to do it. So in terms of the challenge with the Queen of Wands in reverse, this is like this overbearing, selfish energy, and sometimes kind of an envious energy. So for them, the challenge for Divine Masculine is from that selfish perspective. They know where they need to go, but they're just not doing it because they're tired. And it's like, nope, I need to focus on me. That's what I'm doing. And Spirit is saying, you know, you're lacking direction. You're acting immaturely and you're lacking direction. You need to be doing, you need to be changing that. You need to be doing something else. So if they're able to overcome that, if they're able to overcome this sense of like laziness and immaturity, like the immaturity of I'm not going to do this unless I know I'm getting something back, and this laziness that's pushing down on them, if they're able to overcome that, then they're going to feel some of this sense of optimism and happiness and excitement and be able to move things forward for themselves. But they're kind of getting stuck in this rut. So the next level of energy coming in, and it's interesting. So both had the Devil energy underneath the deck, although for Divine Feminine it was in the reverse. But with Divine Masculine, this energy, so this one here is 7 of Wands in reverse. So there's this kind of weakness and burnout, which is that Devil energy. That's what's keeping Divine Masculine from being on their path, is they're just totally burned out. But there's also this energy of justice, like of balance and equality and harmony. So there is this sense of the Devil's trying to keep them, this Devil energy is trying to keep them from their highest path. It's trying to keep Divine Masculine from sitting in that harmony. And at some point, it's going to kind of, click, with this showing up in the soul space as High Priestess. It's going to be that aha moment of realizing, wait a second, I'm tired of being burned out. Like, I'm tired of being tired. And then there's going to be a push to be able to get some of that balance there. Once they shift into that energy of like wanting to push to get balance so that they're not feeling so burned out, then the next level after that, we have our 3 of Cups in reverse, our 7 of Cups, and then our 8 of Wands. So with the 3 of Cups in reverse, there's some like lonely, reclusive type of energy. So once they realize that things are out of balance, it's almost like, okay, well, I need to just go off by myself and recuperate. I need to detach from what is causing this devil energy to keep building up in me. And then with the 7 of Cups energy, this is some of this like indecisiveness, and there's just a lot of choices. Like they have to make choices about what they're going to do, so they need quiet time by themselves to figure out what they're going to do. But then once they figure out what they're going to do, that energy, this 8 of Wands, is kind of this like fast moving energy of, okay, let's get it done. Let's do it. I've thought about what I'm going to do, but that's kind of that energy. So let's take a look for Divine Masculine. When does this energy, okay, I figured out what I'm going to do, now I need to do it. Like, when does that come into play? After they've healed. So there is some healing work to do, because part of it is acknowledging whatever situation this devil energy is that's causing this exhaustion. It's not like, oh, hey, they just woke up last week and they're exhausted by something. This is like years of, I'll call it spiritual exhaustion. And so in order to move past that, they really do have to heal whatever that scenario is for them. So, so that's what it looks like for Divine Masculine. Now let's take a look at the connection in general, and then we will pull some oracle cards too. All right. So let's get some clarity here on the connection. So energetically, what is the push from the universe? What energy is coming down on twin flame connections right now? Well, that one was the one that flipped. So we have our 2 of Swords. How the connection showing up in the 3D is the 9 of Swords. In the soul space with the connection, we have our 8 of Wands. In the challenge for the connection, we have our 7 of Swords. Advice from Spirit is the King of Swords. And then the likely outcome is the 9 of Cups in reverse. So the energy coming down on the connections right now is this kind of split loyalties, and there's a sense of like denial and difficult choices. So the connection is at that point where one of the two parties is really kind of pushing back against the connection. So there's other third party energies in play, whether that's job, whether that's a different relationship, whether that's family pressures, but there's something that's pressuring one or maybe both of the divine partners to step away or step out of the relationship or keep the relationship from coming online. In terms of how the connection is actually showing up is this 9 of Swords. So there's a lot of anxiety and trauma and stress right now in the connection, and that's how it's showing up in the 3D. In the soul space, though, there is this like progression. There is a sense of moving forwards, and usually it's a quick moving energy, but it seems like there is that push at the energetic level on the connection of, come on, let's just power through this. Let's get this connection moving forward. In the challenge space with the 7 of Swords, the challenge is lies and deception and cheating. So within the connection, there's dishonesty that's happening. One of the partners is not being honest, so or both of them. So if whichever partner is sitting here in this sense of like split loyalties and kind of like denying the connection or, thinking about other things, they're also lying about it. Like they're not openly talking about the struggles of the connection with their partner. So that's the challenge that needs to kind of be looked at or addressed for the connection is how do you function within that connection in a way that shows integrity. So even if one of the partners is not enthusiastically running towards the other, even if they're balking at the connection a little bit, the challenge is to do that with integrity and to be able to be honest about where they are and why they're behaving the way that they're behaving. So advice from Spirit is King of Swords, which is that kind of discipline, the rationality. So maybe rather than making this heart discussion of, oh, the connection, I want to run off into the sunset, like being more objective and less emotional about, okay, but what is it that's keeping this partner from coming forward into the connection and having like an honest, open discussion about that. Likely outcome, this 9 of Cups in reverse. This is a sense of disappointment and kind of feeling unfulfilled because either having to have these tough conversations leaves one or both of the partners feeling unfulfilled or feeling like it's just kind of circling and not making any progress feels equally as unfulfilling. So let's take a look. Let's take a look at a few more cards and see what other, I guess, advice from Spirit or messages are coming through about how to help change that outcome. Like how else can they work on improving this connection. So we've got our 10 of Pentacles and our 7 of Pentacles. So some of that's going to be about growth and hard work and stability. So it's almost like with part of that push being having some of those emotionally detached discussions. It's like let's work on building a future. So taking the focus off of the lovey-dovey aspect of the connection. It's almost like, okay, there's something else, like mission and purpose, being like starting a project together, starting a business together, starting something solid and tangible together, as opposed to making it all this fluffy, in the clouds, emotional piece. It's almost like the push is make it something that's grounded in the 3D first and build those foundations, and then the love, you'll feel the lovey part of the connection come online after doing this, like after doing the hard work to create the stability, to create the growth. And remember, with the Pentacles, that can either be actual money or it can be any of your resources, time, energy, attention. Okay. And remember too, I mean, this is a protected connection. And so there's, needing to bring some enthusiasm in. So looking at it from a different perspective, like I said, maybe detaching from the lovey-dovey ideas. And that could be, what the push is here for Divine Feminine. Stop making this so much of a lovey-dovey type of thought process and look at it like, okay, how do we make this about pentacles instead of about, the bunny rabbits and puppy dogs. So, all right, let's take a look at some oracle cards here. So we have envy and adversity. So envy, I am the same as everybody, but with different challenges. And then adversity, I accept that challenges are the best way to learn. So there are some challenges, Divine Feminine is coming up against a tower moment. The connection has that crossroads type of a feel. So some of it is a matter of staying focused on your own connection and not, but when I look on Facebook, I see other people, with their partner and they're smiling on a beach somewhere. I want that, so keeping focused on your own connection of what do you want for your own connection, and acknowledging that, yes, this is a trying time, but, it builds character type of thing, and letting, letting some of those other aspects lead the way. All right. Let's pull a couple more oracle cards. Whatever the present moment contains, accept it as if you'd chosen it. So this is it was an Eckhart Tolle quote, that with this, whatever the present moment contains, accept it as if you'd chosen it, because to some extent you have, based on your life choices and your decisions up until this point, they've led you to where you are. So whether you wanted to or not, you chose it. So lean in and embrace it. With this one, they aren't who you think they are. This is kind of that caution about if there's this kind of split loyalty, and that one of your challenges is lies and cheating and deception, you might not be getting the full story from your divine partner. So be careful with that. And then your guides are listening. So ask your guides for help. Call upon your higher self, call upon your twin's higher self, any of your other guides. Archangel Michael is the kind of protector or the champion of twin flame connections. So, call on Archangel Michael, God, Spirit, and the universe. And the other thing is, there's also an element here when it says they aren't who you think they are. If you're getting frustrated, so it could be overthinking. So it could be as well that if you're painting them in a certain light, that you might not be doing them justice. So if it's, they're taking so long, they obviously aren't interested. Why are they being weak? Why are they being this? Why are they being that? Could be that there's a method to their madness and you just don't know. But that also is that, if there's the lying and deception part, make sure you're not ignoring that. So then the two messages here with overthinking, playing negative scenarios in your head is creating issues which weren't there at first. So that could be what I was talking about here with, they aren't who you think they are. If you're playing out all this disaster thinking, you could be inserting a level of discord that's not actually there, but you could be sowing those seeds within the relationship. So energetically watch how you're thinking about things, and then open yourself to others. This is how you will create new friendships and attract a love relationship. So some of it is, as we're talking about, like some of these projects, and, with Divine Feminine having that tower moment and learning that independence and, being pushed to be more independent and be more self-reliant. Some of that also involves building up your soul tribe, but also just connections in general with people around you. So that's how you're going to create some new friendships, because if you're 100% focused on your relationship with your twin, then it doesn't really leave you any opportunity for soul growth. And it doesn't really leave you an opportunity to share your gifts with the world if you're sitting on the couch all day waiting for your twin to call. So open yourself up to others to be able to have some of those friendships, make some of those connections, spread your light to the world around you, because ultimately that's what twins are here to do, is to spread light and love around them. So, I mean, sometimes it'll say, for the whole world. And sometimes that feels a little too grandiose. Like, okay, well, if I'm sitting here in the Midwest United States, how am I impacting somebody over in India or Australia or in China? Like when you say, I'm spreading my light to the whole world, sometimes that feels too big to where it doesn't make sense. But even just to the people around you. You know, if you go to an art class and you're that happy person that everybody's always like, oh yeah, you know, so and so came to class tonight. They're, you know, they're really in a good mood. They really make us smile. You know, like that's a way of spreading light and spreading love around you. So make sure that you're not um, using lack of union in your twin flame connection, like your 3D twin flame connection, as a reason to cut yourself off energetically from the rest of the world. So I hope that you found today's message to be helpful, but as always, take only what resonates and leave the rest behind. So there's going to be some additional videos posting this week besides just the daily card pull. So make sure you hit the subscribe and notification bell if you wanted to be alerted as to when those videos post. Otherwise, I wish you peace and joy along your journey. Until next time.